Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this episode we've got another toy repair. This is the NCC 1701 Diamond Select model from the original TV series. Picked this up for $65 here in Australia, which is a really good price. I've been wanting this one for a while because I don't have it. I only have the Diamond Select mirror version, so this is the actual main Enterprise from the show. From the seller, he mentioned that sometimes working, and there's two cosmetic issues as well that I've identified. So let's have a look at the problems. First of all, we've got a lot of movement in the saucer section on that neck part of the model there. The stand, somebody's actually glued that into the hole on the battery compartment. Some super glues, actually, you can put in some IPA, spray it in, and it can sort of neutralize the glue, but I don't think that's going to work with this one. I could be wrong, but we'll test it out. Now, I've actually taken one of these apart, but one thing that I did notice when I was turning this upside down is one of these little covers came off, which I didn't really even notice on the model until it came off, that it was hiding the screws underneath. So there's 3 screws here, and I'm also going to take a bit of a guess here and say there might be screws underneath this grey piece, this grey section at the top here. I'm going to see if I can pop that off. I don't think I really need to take these screws out, because this is where it sort of meets up. If I can get this top piece off here, I've got a little flathead screwdriver. This is something that I got with a mobile phone. So we can get in here and pop this out and see what's actually under here. I'm sort of holding this top grey section here because I don't really want to snap it. Yeah, right, okay, so it is popping off. Yep, okay, right. Okay, right, so this is, it's just glued on. Right, okay. And there's 2 screws underneath. This is cool because this means that you could potentially take off this whole top saucer section. If you've got any electronic problems with this, if one of the LEDs breaks or something like that, you could replace it. So these can obviously pop out. There's horizontal screws in there. And there's covers here on the nacelle as well. So you can take the nacelles apart as well. Okay, so this is good. At least we can, we can repair this model in the future if something goes wrong with it. So handy to know, right? Yeah, so look how loose that is. So if we can do, I can see this one is loose. The right one's probably okay. Really only the issue with this one. There we go. And fixed. Much better. Right. So to put this back on, you can just put a little bit of, I think I've got some Loctite 401 here somewhere, or just some sort of super glue, that's fine. I would just put a little bit of super glue maybe here at this end and this end. That's where it seems to be touching. There's actually nothing really touching in that middle section, which is a good idea. Maybe just put not too much, just a little bit. So if you ever have to get back into this thing again, you can just pop it off again. So I'll leave this off for now. So here's a little grey cover that comes off these screws at the bottom. They also glued on, so you can put a little bit of glue on here. So we've got one thing fixed. Let's pull this off because this is the next thing that's got to be looked at. So there's usually 2 options that I do when I'm trying to get things that are stuck in the hole with glue. With this type of issue, there's usually 2 ways that I go about it. First of all is, if there's a gap here, I can usually spray in some IPA and it can neutralize the glue just enough that you can sort of wrench it out. That's not going to work on this situation because there's just no gap at all. I can't even get in there. It's actually been glued up here as well, so this piece here is glued. The other thing you can do here is apply heat, which may work, but I'm not going to apply it onto here because this is really fragile, this part. I really don't want any heat applying onto this section. I don't want to warp anything. So first of all, let me just take out this and have a look what's going on the inside. So this is connected to the battery part, you can see here. There's actually a rod that goes from this black part that's actually inside, and you could try and heat this up, this section here. The other thing you've got to be very careful is this is actually really thin plastic. So if you are going to heat this up, just use a low heat and try to contain it. So there's actually a third option here, and you can actually put a drill bit and drill out this middle section. This would potentially drill out that section that's stuck up in the glue. It won't actually do any damage to the outside of this round part on this side, but you will have a hole in the top of this, which is not a big deal because you can't really see it. So that's kind of like the backup option. I'm going to go with that if the heat doesn't work. So first thing, let's try the heat, see if we can get it out. Okay, so I've got my heat gun. I'm going to put this on maybe say around about 2 here. I'm just going to test this. Yeah, okay, that's okay. So I'm just going to work at this, making sure that yeah, the heat has to be very mild heat. You really don't want anything hot here. You don't want to melt anything. It's really, you've got to be very careful. I have no idea if this is actually going to work, but I'm just going to keep playing with it, warm it up a little bit, and just see how we go. Okay, so I ended up turning it up just a little bit more, and I can't get it out. It just will not break through. I think this may be some sort of epoxy or something that is used here, which is a really bad thing. So we're going to go with the third option. I'm going to drill this out. I'm going to end up just putting a small drill bit in here. I'm just going to test that first. I want to start at a small bit and then sort of work up to a bigger bit. So there we go, there's a 3mm. I'm just going to see if I can move this a little bit. Before I do anything else here, I'm just going to put a little bit of IPA down in this hole, just to see if that actually can neutralize the glue. So a little bit more IPA in there, nothing really happening. I'm moving it left and right, still nothing. So I'm going to have to take it up to the next drill bit. I think I'm going to go up to a 4mm bit. So for anyone out there that's actually thinking about gluing posts in like this, my advice is don't do it. Think of the poor people like me that have got to deal with it. And there we go, it's out. So they've glued a lot around on the outside and they've glued inside the post here. I might be able to try and chip that out, get away with it. You can always sort of repaint. It's only a grey paint, so it's not too bad. So I'm going to leave that off here. I'm going to move the drill out of the way. I'm going to take a look at the electronic side of things. So he said that it was working sort of intermittently. You'll see that I always check the springs first, just to make sure there's no corrosion. The rust's starting to come up on this one. This one I could probably scrape off pretty easily. I think that one should be okay. So I'll have to put a bit of vinegar on that bottom one just to clean it up a little bit, and then I can come back and test this. So I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see, hopefully you can see that on the camera. So you can see here, it's not a lot of, the light isn't great here. It's you can see, I'll just point to it inside here. You can see this one here. See, it's a little bit sort of brownish in there. That's around the spring, mainly towards the front of the springs. Not actually hasn't gone any further than that. So maybe just a little bit of surface rust, which I can clear off, and it should be fine. Put the covers back on everything here. Put the cover back on here, and this thing should be pretty good. Just give it a bit of a wipe down, and yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, okay, so the last thing I guess you're going to be asking is, what are you going to do about a stand? Well, I actually make stands. So if you go to my eBay page and check it out, you'll see the listing for the stands that I make. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I was debating whether or not to actually make a video for this, but I figured that you know, there's a few things here that might benefit somebody. Yeah, you might notice that I've actually got a new bench here as well. So I'm just going to scroll around here so you can have a look. This is actually the bench that's next to my old bench, which was like over there. So this is a much bigger bench, and I've just moved a lot of my electronics stuff over here. Now also there's going to be a pretty big boombox unboxing coming up soon, where all my boomboxes are going to be pulled out of my boxes, and I'm going to be revisiting a lot of my boombox projects, because there's some there that actually didn't get finished from like years ago. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about those boomboxes. They're still all here in my collection, and I will be getting to repairing more of them very soon as I get more time to do that. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next project.
I don't know.